Chapter 3. An Artist is Born. Every day after school, Frida would take the bus home from Mexico City to the Blue House in Coyoacán. On September 17, 1925, Frida and Alejandro got on the bus and found seats together at the back. As the bus slowed down to make a turn, it was hit by a streetcar. The bus was crushed. Alejandro was thrown out of the bus and under the streetcar. Frida was trapped inside. The metal arm from one of the bus seats had gone through Frida's body. Alejandro watched as a passerby pulled the piece of metal out of Frida's body. After a few minutes, an ambulance arrived and took Frida to the hospital. The doctors took Frida to the operating room. Her injuries were so bad that they weren't sure if she would survive. Frida's spinal column and many bones in her body had been broken. Frida's family was so upset by what had happened that they didn't want to see her in the hospital. Her sister Matilda was the only person in the family who visited. Matilda visited Frida every day while she lay in the hospital in a full-body plaster cast. Matilda made Frida laugh and helped her take her mind off the injuries. The cottages also visited Frida in the hospital. She was happy to have friends who remind her of all the fun and enjoyment of school. But when Matilda and her friends left at night, Frida was all alone. She thought a lot about how she might have died in the accident. The memories of that horrible day stayed with Frida for her whole life. But she was a strong person. She had overcome polio, and she was determined that the accident would not stop her either. After a month in the hospital, the doctors told Frida she was strong enough to go home. But Frida's bones did not heal properly, and she was in constant pain for the rest of her life. Frida was still in her full-body plaster cast. She couldn't move or sit up in bed. To help recover from polio, Frida had done all kinds of sports. Now she just had to lie still. The usually daring, mischievous girl needed something to do. Frida asked her father if she could borrow his paints. She had never thought about being an artist, but she had often gone with her father when he painted. Frida's mother had a carpenter make a special easel so that Frida could paint while she was lying on her back in bed. Frida also had a big mirror put up over her bed so that she could look at herself while she painted. I paint myself because I am so often alone, Frida said, and because I am the subject I know best. Although she eventually was able to walk again, for the next 2 years, Frida went back and forth to the hospital for more operations. She spent a lot of time lying on her back in bed, and going back to school was out of the question. But Frida still managed to paint. She had found something she really loved doing. Frida painted the things that were familiar and that she knew best, her friends and family and herself. She got ideas on how to paint by reading her father's art books. She copied the paintings displayed in these books. But Frida also wanted her paintings to show the things she loved about her own country. She thought about the history and moral artists like Diego Rivera showed in the work. Frida started to include religious symbols and images from Mexican folk art in her paintings. She felt that all these things reflected who she was and what was important to her. Frida was determined never to let her accident and the pain stop her from enjoying life. She started seeing her friends and going to parties, and she kept on painting. Painting made her forget the pain and feel well enough to start doing things again. In the 2 years after her accident, Frida painted over 24 pictures. The Mexican Revolution, 1910 to 1920. When Mexico gained independence from Spain in 1821, it was a poor country. Most Mexicans worked on farms all day long for very little pay. Government officials and a few rich farm owners kept the money for themselves. In 1910, the Mexican people rose up against the government. They had had enough and wanted the country to change. With leaders like Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa, the revolution helped put a new government in place. The new government promised to make life fair for everyone in Mexico. Frida did not really show her paintings to many people. She was mainly painting for herself and to help herself feel better. And from the very beginning, Frida had a special way of painting.